Desiree with theastrologyaddiction.com, and thank you so much for watching. Today we're going to do a video on Mercury through the zodiac signs. And Mercury is the planet in our charts of communication, how we interact with people, how we think, our mental process, how we process knowledge, how we learn things. So it's a very important planet in the chart. And with Mercury going retrograde, I thought that this was definitely something important to consider. You know, Mercury in Aries, we'll start with the first sign. Aries is a fire sign, it's a masculine sign. So people that have their Mercury here, they're usually quick learners. They usually say things a lot of times without fully thinking through the consequences of maybe if they're going to hurt people's feelings or if they have all of the information to make a just decision. They might just be more of the type of person who will blurt things out really quickly without fully processing the information. Mercury in Aries can also be kind of hot-headed and hot-tempered, especially with their words. They can say things that maybe are offensive at times, or that maybe they don't consider other people, because Aries is kind of a selfish sign. You know, Aries is about the individual. It's about the first steps into life. And so people that have their Mercuries here can just tend to be a little bit more quick with their mouth. They can also be funny and quick-witted because Aries is just such a fiery sign. Now with Taurus, when you have your Mercury in Taurus, you are going to be someone who is a little bit more cautious and steady with their communication style. You probably take in information a little slower, think things through. You want to go through and piece through all of the details before speaking on something. You may be kind of someone who, if you don't want to talk about an issue or a problem that you're going through, you can be pushed to do so. Like if you're fighting with a partner or a sibling or something and you don't want to discuss a topic, it's something that you're just not going there if you're not ready. No one can really back someone up with a Mercury in Taurus into a corner and make them do anything. You won't. So they're definitely very smart people as well, but sometimes they can have a slower learning style where they need to really study and stay with one subject or one topic for a little bit longer than some of the other people. They just want to fully dive in and take things slow with their learning style and communication as well. They won't blurt things out usually. They can be a little more soft-spoken and consider people's feelings and the consequences of saying certain things at certain times. They'll definitely take all of that into consideration before speaking. Now your Gemini Mercuries in Gemini are very witty and smart. This is a great place to have your Mercury. It's an air sign, so it's naturally more communicative. Someone who has Gemini here is going to be known to be chatty and gossipy, possibly. Someone who likes to talk a lot, likes to be social, and who likes to have all of the drama and all of the tea. You know, they maybe want to know what's going on in any situation. If they're in a work setting, they want to know what's going on all levels and have a full grasp of understanding for, you know, every bit of the organization. They want to know who's getting fired, who's getting promoted, what changes are coming, who's, you know, doing what kind of scandals are going on. They just want to know everything. So they have a real curious side to them, and they can sometimes say things, they're, you know, like I said, they're smart, but they can still say things a little bit too quickly sometimes. Maybe they don't sit with an idea long enough to get their full opinion on it before they, you know, want to give you their feedback. They'll just tell you what they think. And sometimes they don't think through everything like the other signs would when they sit with something a little bit longer. Mercury in Cancer, this is what my fiance has, and Mercury in Cancer. So they are people who are a little bit guarded with their communication. They don't just want to talk to everyone. They can sometimes be a little skeptical about people and guarded in that way. These people are very sensitive and caring people. They're very intuitive. They are good communicators, but sometimes they can be a little bit like cautious of what they say or cautious of who they maybe speak to, because they don't want to give an opinion to someone that they don't want their feedback. You know, they can even be a little bit shy when, you know, putting out information that they have worked on or that they believe in. They're not really ones to stir the pot and like start a fight with someone about something. They would rather just say, oh, okay, kind of move on to the next thing instead of going there with someone, because sometimes, you know, that argument and that debate that other signs really enjoy. A Cancer just doesn't see that it's very productive. So they would rather save those more debated conversations between people that they are more intimate with and closer to, because it's more of a real raw conversation. When you have a debate with someone, it's kind of like a mental, like with someone that you're not close to, if you have a debate with them, it's like more of like a mental, like who's smarter, who's winning here. And Cancers don't really like that competition. They're confident in what they think and how, who they are, so they don't really need to prove themselves in any type of intellectual way. They they can be a little bit more on the quiet side, and they don't really need a bunch of validation for their ideas and their thoughts. They certainly, appreciate it when they've worked hard on something, but it's not something that they like need to succeed. My fiance actually has this, so it's a really, really sweet placement. Now with your Mercury in Leo, these people love to laugh, they love to joke and play and flirt and just talk to people that they meet. They're not very shy Mercury placements. They also really like to be valued and complimented for their opinions and their ideas. They want to be recognized for the things that they work on, and if they're studying or working on a project, they want to get the A. They want to be recognized. They want to be seen as the best. They don't share the spotlight really well, so sometimes they can be communicators who take, they're in a group of people and they want to take all of the spotlight, and they want to keep talking, and they want everyone to listen to them, and maybe they're not the best listeners sometimes. Mercury in Leo is also very creative. These people usually have some type of an artistic side, and could be amazing writers or artists or something like that, where all of those things mentally that are going on just spring up some really, really great ideas for them, and if they're implementing those properly, can be really beneficial. Now Mercury in Virgo, this is a great placement as well. Virgo is a good spot for Mercury because Mercury rules Virgo, so these people can be very smart, very dedicated, organized. They, in their mind, things in their life visually can kind of be a mess, but in their head they have a place for everything. Everything is organized. They can have, they can be really good at keeping calendars or schedules and, meeting deadlines and things like that. They can also be a little bit more shy. They don't always want to share and talk and have a lot of focus on them. They are the polar, opposite of Pisces. So they also in that way don't like overly too much attention on them. But they do definitely like to be validated. If something that they're working on, they're much more to kind of stay behind the scenes and just present the items and let everyone decide if they were smart enough, if they got a good grade or a good if they're due for that promotion or something like that. They don't really like to ask for those things. They would rather just show the work and then receive what they've earned. So Mercuries and Virgos can be a little bit like that, but they can also be great understanding people and good people to talk to about your problems, because they are the sign of the servant, so they can have a great listening ability as well. Now Mercury's in Libra, they can be, this is a good placement, they can be very chatty and talkative. Sometimes they can get into gossip or into kind of social drama. They're definitely more interested in learning about maybe beauty or gossip or something. Like if you would say like Mercury as a news station, it would be like Libra and Mercury would be like E! News, where they cover like beauty, fashion, celebrity gossip, those types of things. But there's also a mature side to this as well. They can be really interested in law, in business, in money, in legal things, even in government, or in like justice, human rights, those types of things. They can be really something that's important to a Libra Mercury. Libra Mercuries are great communicators. They're great listeners. They take in all of the information when they're studying something, and balance it all in their mind, and are pretty good decision makers. So it's overall a pretty good placement. Now your Mercury in Scorpio, these people are pretty intense. They definitely don't take things lightly. If they overhear someone talking about them, or if they are talking with people and they hear someone say something bad about someone else, it's definitely going to really weigh heavy on them, and they will, you know, always remember that. Scorpio Mercuries have a great memory. They are really interested usually in detective types of things and like looking into things that are hidden, secrets. Those things can be really interesting to them. They probably were like children who read mystery books, or, you know, what, like to watch like horror films or something like that. It stimulates their mind, and it's something that they're really usually pretty interested in, or even just, you know, more unique types of topics. Scary stories, like darker things like that, can be really interesting. They can also be great listeners as well. It is a fixed sign, so they have a lot of like longevity that they can withstand through communication and through learning. They can be really resilient in education. They're definitely the types of sign who goes into study like health, like a doctor, someone who has to go to school for a really long time. They have that ability to stick it out with certain tasks and the interest for it as well. A lot of other Mercury signs might lose interest in one, you know, specific like area of study, but Mercuries and Scorpios are a little bit more committal in that way. Now, Mercury in Sagittarius, someone with this placement might be quick to speak their mind. They may be a little bit dogmatic in their opinions. They probably don't shift or change opinions easily. They might stick with, you know, one idea, and no matter what someone says, it's really hard to change their opinion. They think, you know, a lot of times that they are right in situations, and it doesn't make them like a bad listener by any means, but they still just don't see usually all of the sides of something. They can kind of be focused on it. Like the Sagittarius symbol is an arrow, you know, they're focused on something, and that's what they see, and that's their goal. And so with learning and things like that, if they set their goal, it's something that, yes, they can achieve and they can manifest that. But sometimes if there's too many options, they can get distracted. Their opposite is Gemini, so they can sometimes get too distracted with things and maybe lose their attention off of the thing that they need to be focusing on. But Sagittarius Mercuries can also be somewhat argumentative. They're, you know, a fire sign, and they're ruled by Jupiter, so they can have over the top, you know, extravagant reactions to things maybe, and communicate in that way. So if it's an argument with a friend or a spouse, they will kind of explode and just go there with it, and not hold anything back, which can be a positive or negative thing, but that is your Sagittarius Mercury. Now, a Capricorn Mercury, these people are pretty balanced, level-headed. They find education, higher learning, anything that can put them into a higher socioeconomic place important. So usually they want to study things that they can, you know, maybe earn more money from, or they want to talk to people and communicate with people who they can learn things about, different areas that can help prosper them. They want to, you know, build a life. They want to, it's really important for them to have like structure in their life as well. So they want to communicate with people and have people around them that are intelligent and who are doing things with their life, who are people that are successful, you know, that have money and things like that. A Mercury in Capricorn can be someone who is a little bit hard on themselves as well, because it's ruled by Saturn. So mentally they can challenge themselves. They can constantly be, you know, criticizing themselves and wanting to be achieving more than they are. They can be like workaholics. And as far as communication, I would say that they're maybe a little bit more on the self-centered side, where they communicate well, of course, but they may get a little bit focused on their goals and opportunities and things that they're worried about, and not so much on the emotional side. They're definitely less emotional than a water sign might be, or some of the other signs. Now, your Aquarius Mercury, these people are very, very intelligent. Usually someone with an Aquarius Mercury has some type of a vision or a dream that they're wanting to achieve. They have a lot of insight that can kind of just come in and sometimes even be overwhelming for them. They have innovative ideas. They can be really good at technology and at learning new types of learning, but usually they have a unique learning style. They don't usually follow like the traditional standard, you know, we do this, then we do this, and then we go to, you know, university and then get our masters, and then and then things like that. It's more of like a unique creative learning style. They might learn better by doing things or by having the actual experience. But Aquarius being a fixed sign, it is as far as Mercury, something where they don't really lose attention. They can hold their focus onto one topic and stick with it. So that's definitely a good trait. And as far as communicating with other people, they may be a little bit harsh sometimes because they see things in kind of a strict way. Aquarius is also ruled by Saturn, so how they see things, their belief systems, is a little bit more, rigid. They are open-minded for sure, but they are at the same time, once they've came to certain conclusions about things and learned about things, then they've opened their mind to that, and they're not really wanting to go back. So it's like they don't really understand people who stick and stay with like old thoughts or ideas and don't grow and don't like learn new things, because there's just so much out there to learn. So they want to be around people who are innovative and smart and who are really doing something with like their mental. Now your Mercury in Pisces, I actually have this placement. So Mercury's in Pisces can usually in earlier life have a really difficult time communicating. They may have had something like happen to them or have something in their life which makes them feel like they need to be like more shy or more reserved and not speak up. So Mercury's in Pisces can usually be a little bit more on the quiet side, but they're also really creative. And Abraham Lincoln had his Mercury in Pisces. I think like Oprah Winfrey may have. So it's something where, like, of course, as a child, you may have a difficult time communicating or getting your thoughts across, just because like Pisces Mercury is such a deep and complex like ocean that for your Mercury to be there, you're always thinking, you're always having these fantasies and visions and dreams and things like that, and it's hard to verbalize that. Like if there's something that you're thinking and you can't explain it, that's how a Pisces feels, like a Pisces Mercury feels. They just, the intensity and the complexity of like what they want to explain is just it's not easy to explain. So when they get older, they usually have an easier time communicating when they learn those skills and how to kind of cope with them and how to communicate better. And then they usually are great communicators and people really enjoy listening to them. They're also, again, usually artists or some type of a creative, because they usually need to get that energy out in some way. And they have so much, going on that they want to share that. But they're great. They're great with empathy. They're great listeners, and they understand people pretty well. So they can be pretty sympathetic. So that is the Mercury through all of the zodiac signs. Thank you so much for watching, and my link to book readings is in the description box. I have a sale going on right now for 2020, so if you're interested in booking with me, please find the link below. Thank you guys again. Have a great day. Bye.